What's going on, guys? Indy here with Ultimate 2 Reviews. Well, today we're taking a look at the new Makita XGT string trimmer, which is right to my right here. Now, if you're wondering, hey, should I upgrade from my older 36-volt LXT string trimmer, which I've got right here, to the new XGT? Well, the answer is I would definitely say yes, but let me show you some reasons why I think it's better and also why it's maybe not so much better. So, taking a look at the 36-volt string trimmer here, this is going to be the XRU15. It's going to be the dual battery LXT string trimmer. Now on this one, I've actually got a metal blade on here, and the reason for that being that it actually is a fantastic string trimmer for just, taking out brush and stuff. It doesn't burn through batteries as fast as you think it does. I'd say you get about 20 minutes of heavy use on here. It doesn't really overheat like the chainsaws do, but it does get, of course, warm to the touch. Now, of course, it does still suffer from having the, kind of terrible string trimmer head that Makita has always shipped in these things. This is actually the one that came with the XGT one. I will say if you can upgrade, it's definitely worth spending the extra $30 going to something like a Echo SpeedFeed 400, which I've got currently on the XGT. Now, the reason that I actually have the metal blade on the 36-volt one and not the XGT one is actually pretty cool. And that's because the XGT one actually has a variable speed trigger, which is pretty unique. I've not heard of that on any other string trimmers that are electric to date. It might be on a few, I don't know. But for most gas string trimmers, that's a pretty standard feature there because it's gas. But going to the electric string trimmers, the Makita 36-volt and my 18-volt were both just with the trigger. It was basically just on or off. There was no adjustable variable speed at all. All right, moving over to the XGT string trimmer here. I've got the speed feed head that I pulled right off my 36-volt. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to see the installation of one of these. It's super easy. It's pretty much as simple as just unscrewing the old one and screwing on the new head. Definitely makes a massive improvement with these things. The older Makita head is honestly just terrible. I have no idea why Makita decided to actually ship these with those heads. It pretty much almost ruins the unit for me. Just because they constantly jam, they never want to send out the right amount of line, and upgrading to a nice, $30 Echo Speed Feed really fixes the majority issue with these things very quickly. It also holds about twice the amount of line as the original Makita one too. So big advantage there. Definitely worth upgrading to a newer head on the XGT and the 36-volt one if you're going to have either one. Okay, let's talk weight. That's one of the big things that people talk about when it comes to string trimmers. These are actually, as they are right now, about the same exact weight, right around 10 pounds. Even with the 4 amp hour battery on this one, which is what it ships with, and then this one has the 5 amp hours with what it ships with as well too. So you could of course go to the larger batteries on here. You're not going to see, a very big increase in weight. The 5 amp hours, the 8 amp hours, of course, a little bit heavier, but it will give you a little bit better balance compared to the front of this, depending on how you have it adjusted. I'm currently using the strap on this one. I think it works pretty decent. Whereas the 36-volt one, I didn't really like where they had the strap oriented on this one, so I decided not to use it myself. Now, talking runtime between these two, it's hard to tell exactly because, of course, you can run different batteries, the type of string you have on, the type of head you have on, type of grass you have. Everything makes a difference there when it comes to runtime. So I don't want to do some tests and say, hey, yeah, I ran this one over there and this one over here and this one lasted slightly longer. That's not really a fair test because, of course, battery age can make a factor in that. There's so many different factors to really make in that. But I will say, from using both of these on my property, I've used my 36-volt one for about 2 years now, XGT one for over a month now. I will say the XGT definitely has a longer battery life, not necessarily because it's got, less power or larger batteries, but I think the motor is definitely more efficient. I have noticed that it runs a lot cooler than my 36-volt one, while at the same time I can either burn 1 bar or no bars during my entire property, while the 36-volt one, I often would go down to maybe burn about half the bars down on 2 batteries and change batteries again and then basically go another 10-15 minutes and then basically have those batteries that are both still showing full bars. So it can be very close, but I would say the XGT definitely has the advantage of runtime from my testing so far. I would give it maybe an honest estimate about 30% better runtime. While I would say the power increase just from using them in person, I would say it's about a 10-15% power increase. It's not massive, but it is noticeable. I will say the biggest thing you can tell is the spool up time on the XGT is a lot faster than 36-volt. It's not like it's half the time, but it's a good about 25–30% faster spool up time on the XGT than is the 36-volt one. Add to that the variable speed trigger. You can have both of these in speed 3. However, the 36-volt, you can really only have it in a on or off position. So you can't have it, just have the trigger half down and have it at half speed. Whereas the XGT you can, and I found myself actually mowing my yard in about maybe half speed to 75% speed quite a bit, and I'm pretty sure that's a big factor in how I can save battery life in the XGT versus the 36-volt where you got to adjust speed 1, 2, and 3, and that's your only options. Whereas in the XGT you have speed 1, 2, and 3, but you can of course adjust the trigger, and that gives you a variable speed within each of those speed options there. So that's one thing where you can do to save battery life as well as have a lot more control over the speed of the string on your head there. Take a look at the size difference here. They're about the same size. There's really not a big difference. Very little has changed on these between the two. You can tell the head is slightly different on the XGT, a little bit larger there, but again though, if you've used a 36-volt for a time like I have, going to the XGT, it won't be that big of a difference. The biggest difference that I did notice is going to be on the controls here. If you can see the two controls there, the XGT on the bottom, that's actually a lot bigger controls, pretty much exactly the same controls as a 36-volt. There's a lot easier to use with gloves on, a lot easier to, of course, see. So I will say that's a massive improvement over the 36-volt one, where you can barely see sometimes in the sun there what speed you're on and what's going on. So having a much larger display and control system on the XGT version is honestly a big improvement there. Finally, price-wise, I got this actually on clearance at my Home Depot in a kit with a 4-amp-hour battery and charger. Now, I got a bunch of XGT chargers already. I was able to sell mine on eBay for about 70 bucks, as well as I also got another 50 bucks off because I had about 10 of these sitting on the clearance shelf. I just went up to the register and said, hey, can I get another discount on this? And said, sure, here's another 50 bucks off, have fun. So I got mine for about $300. It was on clearance for about $350. And then sold a charger, so I got mine down to about $240, $250, which is not a bad deal. The 36-volt one I actually picked up on eBay. I got it open box for about $160. So again, if you shop for these, you can find deals on the string trimmers, but retail price for these is going to be right around $400 or $500, and the XGT is going to be right around $500. At that price, I would just go with a gas one, probably steel at that point. I would not pay $500 for this string trimmer. It's definitely commercial grade, but are you going to be able to get away using this, honestly, nonstop, constant with it? Maybe, but I still think, if you got a big property and you're going to be using this, for 6 to 8 hours, maybe a week, I'd probably say just go gas at that point. The amount of batteries you're going to need to power these, considering that these 4-amp-hour batteries are running you $200, I mean, yeah, they charge fast. They're great batteries, but you're going to be well over $1,000 into one string trimmer, which honestly I think is just crazy. And yeah, they're great for, I've got a smaller-ish property. I'm only on about maybe half an acre at most. And my property is, I got a decent amount of, edges and fencing to go through. But again, anything larger than that, I would say just go gas. You could if you want to really be in the XGT line, but honestly, it's hard to really recommend this when they're just so expensive. These are half the price at $250 retail, and they came with, say, 2 of these 4-amp-hour batteries, then I would say yes, then they're definitely well worth it for the price. But the XGT pricing, honestly, is just out of control in my opinion. It's super expensive. There's a reason why I don't own the XGT mower just yet, is that it's just so wildly expensive. And honestly, I've got 2 LXT mowers now that I paid about $600 for total with 6 batteries, and you really can't beat that. That's still $100 cheaper than buying the XGT mower by itself. So honestly, in conclusion, the new XGT string trimmer, it's definitely an improvement over the 36-volt one. They did not improve the string head at all, so definitely upgrade to a Echo Speed Feed 400. Link in the description if you want to check out how to do that, or pretty much any head is better than the Makita one. Honestly, it's not a great head at all. It has tons of issues with it. It's very noticeable right out of the box. But if you can pick up a deal for this thing, get it for around, I'd say $200 to $300. It's a fantastic deal for what it is, and it definitely is going to do a really good job. Massive improvement over the 36-volt one, especially with the variable speed trigger. Of course, the trigger is a lot larger. The display is a lot larger. They do improve definitely what it needs to be improved over the 36-volt one. Now, they do make a XGT, X2 one where they have 2 XGT batteries in that one. That one's of course be quite expensive. It's not designed for string trimming. It's designed entirely for brush cutting. So a little bit different there, but again, this one can do brush cutting as well. It's just not going to be as, super powerful, but runtime on this has definitely been an improvement over the 36-volt one, and I've been pretty happy with it so far. I'm not burning through, multiple batteries all the time like I am with my 36-volt. This thing does a nice job with just one 4-amp-hour battery. Does my entire about half an acre, no problem. So guys, thanks for watching. Take care, have a great day, and stay safe out there.